So vaccinations are something that are widely talked about nowadays, and whether they're safe or not for children to get. Many parents have trouble deciding if vaccinations, shots, immunizations are something they're going to do for their child when they're first born. They have to decide within the first few hours, really, of them being born if they're going to vaccinate them or not. Most parents do choose to vaccinate their child, and some don't. My sister-in-law is one that chose to not vaccinate her child. She felt it was an unnecessary risk, which some people agree with, some people don't. It's just a personal choice. You can't force your belief on someone else. Some of the vaccinations that are out there for your child to get are the DTaP, which prevents against diphtheria. And diphtheria can attack the throat and the heart, and I mean, there's no age limit on this disease. It can attack a baby. Obviously, it can lead to death. Tetanus, also known as lockjaw, can happen to anybody if you're not protected against it. Pertussis, also known as whooping cough, is known to kill people. I mean, it's fairly common. Not saying if you do get the vaccine that you won't ever get it. It's just makes it less likely for you to get from anybody else too. I got all these from familydoctor.org, which I think is a pretty reputable website. Some more are your IPV vaccine to prevent against polio. Polio can cause paralysis in your limbs. It can lead to death. There are a lot of people that were affected by this before the vaccine came out, so I personally would want to protect my child against the risk of getting this disease if I can. I mean, if there's no facts that say, you know, it definitely leads to this, I don't see why you shouldn't get your kid vaccinated. Another is the MMR, the measles, mumps, and rubella. If you don't get the shot, you're 22 times more likely to get measles. So it's not saying you're never going to get it, it's just saying the odds of you being protected against it are a lot better than if you would never be vaccinated from it. Your HIV vaccine prevents from influenza type B, which some people don't think is necessary. Your varicella vaccine prevents chickenpox. Now that's something I don't think is really extremely necessary to get as a child because, I mean, I had the chickenpox and all my siblings had the chickenpox. It didn't do anything horrible to us, but I believe in elderly it is extremely high risk to get. That's something that can easily kill you. I mean, you got to be really careful with that, and if you don't have it by a certain age, I definitely think you should be vaccinated against it. Your HBV vaccine prevents against hepatitis B. Now, I never had this as a child, so it was something I had to get right before I started my CNA training because I was going to be coming in contact, you know, with bodily fluids, blood, such things as that, and it's just a good precaution to have. Now, not everybody gets it when they're older. Most people get it when they're younger. If they're going to get it nowadays, they do it as a baby. I think it's a great thing to have, especially when you send your kid to a public school or anywhere like that. You really got to be careful with who they're around. You know, you can catch anything from anybody, so why not try to give them a better way to stay healthy? That's kind of my point on it. I also went to scienceprogress.org, and the British Sunday Times found that what they originally based their study on for kids getting autism from some vaccinations was actually faulty data. Now, some people say that's not true. You know, it was all facts that kids do get autism from shots. Well, if they can't prove it, why would you not do it? And the rate is so low that the kids that did get autism that they said was from the shots was really low. The U.S. court also ruled there was little to no evidence linking autism to vaccines. I mean, that's two pretty reputable sources saying that it's not definitely true that they got that from the vaccines. There's no such thing as a perfectly safe vaccine. Of course, there are always side effects to vaccines that can occur, which you do have to be careful with. I mean, in rare cases, live vaccines can actually induce the illness they're supposed to protect against. You can spread them to those who aren't vaccinated, and I think that's more of a risk now because I think more people are choosing not to vaccinate because they want to live a healthier life, which is great and I'm all for it, but you can't say who your kids are going to be around, and they could be around somebody who has whooping cough, or they could be around someone who has meningitis, something you can very easily get a vaccination for and are a lot less likely to get that disease from them. I don't see any reason not to. I think it's kind of negligent in some ways when you don't vaccinate your kids. I mean, it's all personal opinion. It's just I've worked in a hospital setting for so many years, and I would hate to see, I get to work in the OB department, and I would hate to see a little baby, you know, that little, not get their vaccines, and just because they didn't get that vaccine, that they die. I mean, parents will always argue that, and they'll always say it would have happened anyway, which could be true, but why not try to give them the best opportunity that you can to fight against all those diseases that are out there. Most parents don't want to now because they just don't. They don't think it's necessary. Most people aren't informed, which is, you know, understandable. If you're not going to do your research and you don't care enough to do your research, then you're never ever going to understand what's going on. I think it's important to inform those who aren't informed about it, because I think it's necessary. I think it should be done to every child that is able to. There are certain kids who can't get it because of cancer or medicines are on that lower their ability to fight off, you know, what they do give them, and then they could possibly get that disease, and that wouldn't be good. But I think it's a great thing. Now, as far as the flu vaccine goes, I don't think this is necessary in my opinion. Now, doctors, everybody would disagree with me, but the flu vaccine is something I don't feel as necessary if you're most of the time in good health. I mean, I had the flu vaccine last year, and I ended up getting extremely, extremely sick with the flu for like 2 to 3 weeks, even with the flu shot. So I don't really think it did me any favors. And I know every year that I've gotten the flu vaccine, I have been sick, like real achy with, you know, chills, fever for 3 days after I got that vaccine. So it basically gave me the flu anyway, so I kind of feel like my body would be able to fight off the flu. It's all personal choices. You don't have any say over anybody else's kids. All you can do is inform them. I hope you learned something, and I'm sorry about the tractor noise. I do live on a farm if you heard that. Thanks.